There's that. And now my big entrance. There it is. Swipe across. There's me. Monday, going to talk about the Constitution today. We're actually going to have like a little bit of a history class because apparently my colleagues in federal law enforcement need that. Forget about the fact that their boss, the actual president of the United States, needs it too. So we're going to talk about some of the arrests made by ICE and other law enforcement officers. And I'm not saying that all ICE agents are violating the Constitution. I'm not even saying some of the ones you've seen on TV are. I'm going to be speaking to them, and it's going to be for them to decide. Later on, we'll get back to the Tucker Carlson, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro pissing match with standing alone as a nation versus being property of another nation, like Matt Walsh thinks should happen. Then Israel, among others, being a Jewish state versus being state terrorism. Then America First versus foreign aid. Back to the Constitution thing, we're going to take a look at the actual oath of office for both the president and the one I took 25 years ago, which, by the way, has not changed. We'll take a look at some clips from Adam Schiff and his commentary on the, I don't know what you would call it, whether it's ignorance or lack of knowledge or disrespect and disregard for the Constitution. I don't know. There we go. No, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm figuring something out here I'm going back to using the app Chatter, which is one that I can use when I have a guest, such as Jane, virtually. And I'm not sure which mic I got to open up. Let me into this. But we don't have Jane as long because she's with us first. And so I think that'll do it. And I just got to kill the volume. There we go. All right. I think I've unscrewed up myself, so we're on. Well, I'm not going to use the F word. Hello there.
Good morning. Good morning. It's been a thunderstorm morning here in my location here in Boyertown. Even
you were saying
got involved. I mean, we went out for a walk, and some other dog decided to run at her. So there was a bit of a dog fight this morning. It was scary.
Oh, wow.
I hate that. I mean, the dog ran at Ginger off leash. The owner either let him go or just lost the leash, which has happened to me from time to time, sadly. But anyway, there was quite the scuffle, and I was really afraid the dogs would hurt themselves. I was afraid it was not going to be a good end. It was a really scary moment. Anyway,
they always
good morning.
My
morning has started off really. So I'm happy to talk to you. I'm happy to be in sitting in this chair and being able to talk to you. I was really afraid that things were not going to go well. So here we are.
But Ginger's okay?
Ginger's fine. Yeah.
Good.
Ginger's fine. Yeah. Yep.
Good. Well, yeah, I there's streets that I avoid for that same reason when I walk my dog.
Well, we were walking and I saw this woman and she saw me with her two dogs. And I immediately turned around to take Ginger the other way so we wouldn't have any encounter. But the woman kept walking at us and Ginger had to stop and poop. And by that time, the dogs had seen each other and they were not happy to see each other. And then, like I say, the one dog got off its leash and that's what happened. So, yeah, I try to stay away from dogs. Yep.
It was at least on one initially?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yep. And why the woman just didn't, she saw me turn around, respectfully, we're not going to have this encounter. And she just kept coming. And I knew it was not going to be a happy thing. But good morning, Ken. Enough of that dogfight. Let's
Yeah,
get into some other. It's a feisty morning. How's that? And I
yeah.
heard your agenda for the show, including constitutional talk. And yeah, everybody needs an education, or either that or some reigning. I don't know. I don't know. It's getting pretty tough to deal with anymore.
Well, here's the thing that scares me. Besides the fact that I said this was going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't stop with the violent criminals, who, by the way, are still, and that's what we're going to learn today, despite the thoughts of many Trumpers, are still entitled to due process, even if they're violent offenders,
Mm-hmm.
even if they're not American citizens,
Mm-hmm.
even if they're not even in the United States, believe it or not. You're in a boat in what's actually international water, but you're boarded by the Coast Guard. You get due process if we're going to try to have you arrested for any violation of American law.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm floored that these so-called patriots, I've said this before too, but here's something that I think will make sense to somebody like you who has common sense. Don't put the word patriot in your social media profile. That is not for you to decide.
Mm.
That's part of your legacy. That's part of history, or your community will call you that. You know, just like if I say, well, to be honest with you, Jane, what do you expect to be coming next? A big fat lie.
Mm-hmm.
So if I've got to tell you that I'm a patriot, we might want to take a second look at that.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
And all these fathers and brothers and husbands and dads and Christians and patriots. Well, if we just talked about how you're probably not a patriot, even though you just said you are, you might not be any of those other things either. At least not a good one. So these so-called patriots who say, like Laura Ingraham from Fox News,
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump was elected with a mandate. The people spoke. And they wanted him to do something about the border and about immigration. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with all that. Nowhere did they say to violate the Constitution. And even if they did say that, it wouldn't be valid anyway.
It wouldn't be his business to do that. Right. They can say
It's not
whatever
his
they want.
decision. It's
Yeah.
not his ability. And just like when my boss says, go arrest that person, and I have no idea why, it's my legal obligation to challenge my boss and say, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Why are we arresting that person? Because I said so. Well, guess what, Sarge? That doesn't cut it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're going to go arrest him yourself, you got to tell me why I'm doing it. Because just arresting somebody for good measure is not a lawful order. And in fact, it's my duty as a police officer or federal agent or anywhere to not arrest that person. And that's a very basic example. And any sergeant worth their salt is going to say, hey, he was a part of what crime scene we're already at. But point being, we have federal agents who on camera are arresting citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the student who is here on a green card, but people who live here all the time in plain clothes, in unmarked cars. That is a basic violation of everything we've been taught in the academy. Any academy. Whether it's the Reading Police Academy, where I went, or the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Georgia, or the Rowley Training Center in Beltsville, Maryland. Somebody's got to have a jacket that says police. And these guys aren't. Many of them. Most are. But many of them are not. And they're not in conjunction with local police, who would be in a recognized uniform with a marked, recognized police car. How these people haven't been shot, I have no idea. Other than perhaps it's because you weren't arresting violent offenders in the first place. So by now I can see you're just sitting there going like this. You got questions or comments or something to add. I'll shut up for a minute.
No, not at all. I had to cough. And so I turned off my mic for a second so I could clear my throat so that I'd be prepared to talk when I had something to say. I've been trying to do that. Yeah.
I've been trying to do that when somebody else had it. Yeah. I've been sneezing is what I've been doing.
Well, I've been struggling with congestion in my head. I think it's all allergies, but
yeah.
The reason I'm on at 11 is because I have an appointment with the doctor in an hour or so. So I have to do the early hour with you today.
That's fine.
Anyway.
Is that because of the one at the end of the month? Okay, that didn't come out right.
I understand. It's the Arts and Activities Alliance and monthly meeting the last Monday of the month. There you go.
Would it be easier for you to join in the first month every week? Or is your morning still kind of...
Well, sometimes it depends on Ginger. If she takes a really long walk, sometimes I'm not quite ready at 11.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So if it matters to you, however, I can hustle her out earlier in the morning on Mondays. Mm-mm. I mean, if you like to be consistent, I'm pretty flexible, Ross. So let me know.
Yeah, okay? We are consistent every last Monday.
There you go.
First one into the second one.
Okay.
So fine.
Okay. Well, I apologize for this one. This one came up.
No. Oh, God, no.
Oh, dear.
No. Well, no, like anyway. I said before, rule number one, this has to be fun.
It has to be fun.
If something's coming up where this is causing this to be more of a job and fun.
There you go. Well, I have to tell you, all the politics right now isn't very much fun, and I'm not saying we shouldn't talk about it. We need to, but it's really hard. It's really tough these days.
That's another reason why I thought, let's do something on the educational side today.
Oh,
let's get a little bit away from the Howard Stern and a little bit more into the Mr. Rogers.
Oh, yay.
And,
let's do Mr. Rogers.
Education. But, I still think that this is something you've got enough of an experience or connection with, or particularly, I'll have you interpret the English in the amendments that we're going to read.
Okay.
Because guess what you're going to see in there?
Go ahead.
Semicolons.
Oh, semicolons, my favorite piece of punctuation.
And there'll be plenty of them.
Yes.
So, let's get into that.
All right.
There's the first one. There we go. I got to share a screen. There we go. Now here's this lecture. You see all the time, and this is coming from the Constitution Center in Philadelphia at constitutioncenter.org.
Mm-hmm.
The preamble, you see all the time, we the people.
Mm-hmm.
People are getting tattoos, bumper stickers, all of that with the calligraphy that is found on the actual Constitution.
I always loved that that was Kamala's uh, uh, mantra, brand, slogan,
Yeah.
slogan,
Yeah.
slogan. We the people. I really thought that was smart.
And unfortunately, the other side uses it too. The problem is, I don't think they know that there's more words after that. John Stewart said that. We the people. There's more words after that, right?
Right.
Smaller font, still binding. So even right here, the biggest question I'm dealing with, listeners, neighbors, anybody that I talk to, Trumpers, you have to be a citizen for this to take effect.
Okay.
To be protected by the Constitution, you have to be a citizen. That's not true. And just by saying that you have to be a citizen tells me one of two things, probably both. That you're following that political ideology blindly without doing what I've started this podcast and now radio show
Mm-hmm.
for the purpose of teaching you to do your homework. And the fact that you haven't, I'm not saying you, Jane Stahl, but or even you listeners, you know who I'm talking to. And you also haven't read the Constitution ever. Or you would know that, in fact, there are some rights and obligations that are restricted to citizens, such as running for office and
Mm-hmm.
voting.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, I didn't make it to the mute button in time. Had to clear. But everybody else is protected by this document. And right there in the preamble, we the people, not we the citizens of the United States, we the people of the United States. In order to form a more perfect union, well, we've been trying to make America great again.
Mm-hmm.
So even here, it says, we ain't there yet. Establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, not be yanked off the street by plainclothes police officers.
Mm-hmm.
Can't even prove that they're police officers. Provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare. General welfare doesn't say end the year in the black for those Doge employees that think we need to be run like a business.
Mm-hmm.
And secure the blessings of liberty, like not being yanked off the street by plainclothes police officers. Secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. There, you don't even have to read any of the articles of the amendments. It's right there.
Yeah, it's clear. It seems to be clear.
And I'm just like, I'm not going to ask what these people are reading because clearly they're not reading. So, due process seems to be the biggest issue. Well, actually, I guess it's really as of this past weekend, because some knucklehead decided he would do well on Meet the Press
Ugh.
and talks about how he's got the best and brightest attorneys, brilliant attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
Can they read? Where did these brilliant attorneys get their law degree? Walmart? because everything's pretty clear to the rest of us. Let me see. This had maybe I got to go to the other one. So this one comes from the National Archives. Yeah, this is the one. Not only the Bill of Rights, but we'll also look at the 14th Amendment as well. But so many people, when they talk about due process and what amendment gives them due process, they say the Fifth Amendment. And that's where I get a lawyer. Actually, you get a lawyer from the Sixth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment is against incrimination, self-incrimination. The Fourth Amendment is unreasonable searches and seizure. The Eighth Amendment is unreasonable penalty. And the 14th Amendment kind of restates a lot of that. The Fourth Amendment bars government from unreasonable search and seizure. I thought this actually had the amendment in it. One of these does. I just read the damn thing. There we go. Okay, can we put them in order? There we go. Fourth Amendment. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. So an arrest warrant is a search warrant of sorts because it describes the person that has to be taken into custody. A search warrant is an arrest warrant of sorts because it describes what is to be an item that is to be taken into custody. Can you do this without a warrant? Yes, there are warrantless arrests and seizures. Plain view in the view of an officer allowed to make such arrests. If I don't have, as a federal agent, if I don't have what's called peace officer status in the state that I'm in, I can't arrest someone for assault because that's not what we do at the Secret Service. If that state grants federal agents peace officer status, which is in their state constitution, then I can arrest somebody for that assault and hold them until local or state law enforcement take over. All that's constitutional. I do that without peace officer status. I'm the bad guy. I say that because we don't wear uniforms at the Secret Service. Now, there are certain situations where we do actually. We wear a lot of police markings. But that's around a site. That's part of a search warrant or arrest warrant because we don't want to be shot by other police or citizens that are armed. But this, I think, as wordy as I think they were 250 years ago, it's still pretty plain. maybe not with the emojis that we would use today, but still, the Fourth Amendment says you're not going to be taken into custody without a reason. And even with that reason, they still have to say what that reason is. And we're seeing on the news that's not what's happening in many of the cases. And 1, 2 is too many. So, yeah, I will say many. I won't say most because I don't know that. But any is too many.
Exactly. And of course, that's what's happening.
What I think is crazy, because, like I said at the very beginning, this is basic law enforcement stuff. To do this with police markings, to tell somebody why they're being taken into custody, even if it is, I got this warrant, I don't know anything about the case, but here this is, here's you, let's go talk about this. Due process. And that's being just skipped through. The Fifth Amendment. Go ahead. Did you have something?
Go ahead.
The Fifth Amendment: no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or the military, you'd be court-martialed. When in actual service of time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. That's double jeopardy. Once you're found not guilty, you're not guilty. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. That's eminent domain. We need to put a highway through your backyard. They have to pay you for that lot. But again, no person, not no citizen, no person. And I mean, we can move on to the next now because it's that easy.
It seems so obvious, and yet we're just violating it right and left. And
that's the issue I take.
And the supporters are fine with it, and that is the problem.
And
I mean, never mind that people talk about he talks about having this huge mandate to do whatever he wants, and people object and say, well, it was just a small margin of people. It is the people who, and that, not just, I mean, there's a lot of people who believe that whatever he does is just fine. And it's it's a very scary time in our history in the country. Do you see any hopeful signs anywhere today?
Other than the fact that he is making an ass out of himself, more so than before.
I mean, he's suing the media. He's suing law firms that, I mean, they're.
yeah. That's some of the crazy ones.
Now, Ken made a comment. It starts happen. Supporters are fine with it until it starts happening to them. Then they grow worried.
Yeah.
But they will have no power. No one by that time will have any power to do anything whatsoever about it.
Yeah, and this is why Blake Fisher was on my grill about comparing Trump to Hitler and then comparing the entire Trump administration to the Nazi Party. But this is exactly what happened in Germany.
Exactly.
People who were non-Jewish and straight and Aryan didn't have a problem with him going after Jews and gays. But then he, for lack of better terms, got rid of all them and needed somebody else. By then it was too late. There wasn't anybody to come to their defense.
There wasn't, yeah.
And then
I mean, and I hear over and over again how, what do you say, ineffective. Let's use that word. There are other words applied, but let's say ineffective today. How ineffective, quote, the Democrats are.
Yeah.
What are, quote, the Democrats supposed to do? I mean, rallies?
Yeah, and that's been good.
I mean,
that's been productive.
Letters to their congressmen, as if the congressmen don't know.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, come on.
That's my issue with the right. In that, why are there not more Adam Kinzingers, Liz Cheney's, Mitt Romney's, and even John McCain? He's the guy who stopped the Republicans from eliminating the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare.
Right.
Where are these from either side that are willing to step up and say what's wrong? And
I mean, I get that it's a tricky, to use a phrase, it's a tricky threading of the needle to stay out of his out of his
crosshairs.
That's it. Crosshairs. That's what I wanted, to stay out of his crosshairs, thinking that, hey, some adults got to stay in the living room in order to, to affect the proper things when the time comes. I understand how tricky that is, and I can't blame Republicans totally for not, taking a harder stand. I'm sure I'm sure many of them are struggling, trying to stay out of the crosshairs, trying to stay out of legal jeopardy, trying to stay out of the public, humiliation and insult that what's his name is fond of delivering. It's a tricky thing, but my God, how are we going to survive this? I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people that say that when I ask questions like that, and when you say it now, we're being over dramatic. But what about those of us that were saying since 2017 that he wasn't going to stop with one tax break?
I mean, we've known this. Hello.
Yeah.
And trying to stay between the lines, stay within the law, to respect the law as people have tried to do, seems to be so ineffective with people who aren't afraid of violating every law every day.
Yeah, Ken says the right, meaning the spot on the political spectrum, are still for some reason afraid of Trump. Well, I know one of the consequences is, but I'll finish this comment here. Are still for some reason afraid of Trump. Now I think this may be due to elections. That's it. And then wanting to stay in power. It's called being primaried. If you don't support Trump as a Republican, They will spend money on your Republican opponent
Mm-hmm.
in the primaries so that that person defeats you
Mm-hmm.
and then runs in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
This is being done in historically Republican or red districts
Mm-hmm.
where the fall election is pretty much a shoo-in.
Mm-hmm.
A Democrat or progressive or liberal or even independent isn't
Has no
going to
shot.
be the person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so if Trump can support a loyalist and get rid of someone who may be more um, lawful, I'm going to say it,
Yeah.
more lawful,
Yeah.
that particular person wants, for power's sake, maybe, but for doing the right thing eventually, also, I'd like to hope maybe has to keep a low profile, has to stay out of the crosshairs. I really get that. I really, really do, but I'm
See,
hopeful it won't be too late. I'm hopeful it won't be too late. I just,
I don't get it.
yeah.
There need to be people who will see the writing on the wall and will go down swinging.
Mhm.
Adam Kinzinger, Liz Cheney
Mhm.
are more popular now than when they were in office.
Mhm. But Liz
They've
was
got a future.
primaried. But Liz was
Oh, yeah,
primaried, right?
they've been primaried or left or whatever, but that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that they're out. And I think that was their brilliance, is that
Yep.
their activism now and working for either a law firm or whatever it is they have the background to do. I think Liz Cheney was teaching at Michigan or somewhere in Michigan for a while.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, like I have a guy here, Gus Bilirakis, is so far on Trump's ass, he makes Trump look like a cockroach because he's got an extra set of legs. I believe, and I'm not going to say this definitively yet until I know more, but he was also one that held town hall meetings.
Okay.
One town hall meeting that I know of. And he did this like mock Congress with the people at the meeting and kind of had them go through committee and then bring it to the group. So to kind of give them an idea what happens when you get a bill passed in Congress.
Mhm.
Educational, creative, didn't address any of the Doge issues from what the news covered. And nobody said where those people at the town hall came from.
Hmm. Oh, okay. That's interesting.
They were all seniors that you could see on camera. And maybe I missed some that are my age. Keep in
Mhm.
mind, I'm also retired. They were all white.
Mm. Interesting
And
again.
there seemed to be as many females as there were males, suggesting that they were married couples. I know there are blacks in this community. I know there are gays in this community. And I know that they're in his district. I have been trying to get a phone call with him for 3.5 years,
Wow.
even a return phone call. That's not just as a journalist, but a constituent. And nobody's asking him the tough questions because nobody's getting close enough to do it. That's why I suspect that his town hall was rigged.
Wow.
So, still looking into it.
I tell you what, the only thing that matters is the votes at the polls, and I don't even know that that is a secure thing anymore. I read
Yeah.
recently, maybe, and I did not research to see if it was a true thing. Maybe you already know, but I read recently somewhere that Republicans made I don't know, some kind of decision not to protect married women against the SAVE Act, which demands that your voter record match your birth certificate name. Did you hear anything about that?
Yeah, I did. And I heard the same thing. I don't know where I heard it either. I want to guess probably one of the three assorted different podcast formats done by
Okay.
Brian Tyler Cohen.
Okay.
Um, he's an attorney, young attorney, progressive, liberal, whatever you want to call him.
I mean, what I want to
He
know
does-
is, am I going to need to take my birth certificate and my marriage license to the polls?
So I think there are some states pushing back on that as well. With Shapiro having the popularity that he's got,
Mm-hmm.
I can't see how that's going to make it through. Because I think in the didn't Pennsylvania just gain some Democratic seats in the special election that was held
I've
last month?
lost, tell you the truth, I've lost track.
Yeah. That's a good question because it's still something that's regulated by states.
Oh, okay.
And the whole thing about this is the issue I have with Republicans and them saying that the Democrats are trying to remove IDs from elections. That's not legal. That's not possible. It's not constitutional.
Okay.
You have to be a citizen to vote in a federal election. You don't have to be a citizen to vote in a local election. The Constitution doesn't cover local elections. That's the point of the Constitution. And in fact, the Ninth Amendment, what is not covered here, is granted to the states, essentially. It gives power to the states. But in a federal election, you have to have an ID. That was never, not a thing. Or never, I don't know. It was, you've always had to have an ID
Gotcha.
for a federal election.
Gotcha.
What they're doing is disenfranchising
Right.
certain groups from
Exactly.
getting the ID in the first place.
Exactly. Exactly.
Blacks and browns
Exactly.
typically,
Exactly. Yeah.
but more on the socioeconomic than ethnic is the bigger issue. Because by and large, wealthy goes Republican.
Right. Anyway, it's getting pretty dark, it seems to
Yeah.
me, the political landscape. So I guess, rather than hope for the best, we need to be prepared for the worst.
Yeah, and David Beckmeyer and I are putting together a show. I thought we were going to do kind of sort of something to the one he did about a week and a half or so ago, but I guess this one's just going to be the two of us. We'll do a live episode. He's trying to go live on Substack more frequently.
Okay.
I think that, with political leaning of this show, I might have to try to look into that as well. But he wants to talk about rock bottom.
Ooh.
And what is rock bottom before we say enough is enough?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So many of us
Ooh.
thought January 6th was going to be the end of the Trump administration.
Exactly.
That turned out to be a boost.
Yeah. Yeah. What is
So
rock bottom?
what is it going to take? And when we hit that, will it be too late?
Yep. Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Will we wrap the car around a proverbial telephone pole in the process? Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, you know what that means. Yeah, I thought I had it. I thought I had the answer to that when I said January 6th. and I wasn't even close.
Yeah. No. No.
And so yeah, I don't know what that is. I
So when so you're developing a show, defining the
Yeah,
rock
we're
bottom, or
putting together a joint episode,
is it
and
scheduled?
no, I wanted to because I thought that there was the possibility that we it would be another um, panel,
Okay.
and in the process, I wanted to have some guys I know who, when I was the airport agent at the Reagan Airport, I met them because they were my police counterparts from the Metropolitan Washington Airport Authority,
Hmm.
the police department at the airport. And the two guys I worked with most frequently were on the airport police SWAT team, who were dispatched to the Capitol on January 6th. And so I would love to have them on. But
So you're
he's a
contacting
huge
them. You're
mission.
working on contacting them.
I'm still going to contact them because I would want to have them on for my own show.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would want to have them on for my own show, if not a part of that one.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and that would also be obviously with their agreement because I know being a part of something like that and talking about it after the fact is not an easy thing to do.
Right. Exactly. Yep. So maybe we have some listeners out there who would help with describing rock bottom. Do our
Yeah.
listeners who may be interested in calling in this morning or commenting at some point, what does rock bottom look like to you?
1-888 Yergs 844 gay LGBT. Also in the chat. Um, speaking of chat, I'm trying to monetize, and that's why
Okay.
I started with updating the RSS feeds. I had to take a step back because I had to learn something. I wanted to show you. Yeah, unless we get a call, let me transition for the last couple of minutes that I've got you. I want you to see something. Something that took a while to learn how to do as far as editing goes.
Well, while you're looking for that information, allow me to do a short commercial for
Yes.
anyone in the
Funny
Boyertown
you say
area.
that. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
For anyone in the Boyertown area, we had a lovely opening last Friday of an
Oh,
exhibit at Studio B called Bears. And what we have are 16, 17 or so artists who created or painted bear fever bears over the last 20 years. We have invited them to exhibit
Nathan.
some
Speaking of
of
Dare
their
Media,
art at the studio. And Sue created a really lovely exhibit. And we had such a fun time on Friday night getting reacquainted because some of those artists I have not seen for 20 years. The last
wow,
time I saw them, and I remember the date, was May 7th, 2005, when we debuted 30 some Bear Fever Bears at the Boyertown High School Arts Expo that year. And so 20 years, almost 20 years later to the day, we had an exhibit featuring the work of some of those artists who helped us over 20 years create the Bear Fever Bears. It's a lovely exhibit, and I encourage you to come and see us. Our regular hours are pretty scant. They're Saturdays and Sundays from 12 to 2, but I live 5 minutes away from the studio. And if you contact me at Jane E. Stahl at Comcast.net, I am happy. I'm pretty flexible, so I'm happy to meet you at the studio and show you this fine exhibit. Once again, it's Jane E. Stahl, Stahl, at Comcast.net. Thank you for the commercial.
you know what? I have been giving your contact info as the contact us portion of the websites. So if you're good with that, I'll do that in the plugs at the end.
Yeah, very good. Good. Anyway, so yeah, do you have up what you were
Yep.
looking for?
And there's, I got to talk to you offline about commercials. Not something, not a really extra responsibility on your part. Just a thing I want you to throw out there when you get a chance to some people. This is what I spent all last week and the week before last learning how to do.
Nice.
This is set up. What you're seeing on the screen now is a mock up of a vertical video. Like when you look at a video on
Okay.
TikTok or what are called YouTube Shorts,
Yeah.
you're holding your phone upright. And instead of landscape, like everybody sees us on the video here, it's an upright view.
Uh-huh.
Well, I split that into
Okay.
3 parts. The top part you see is Momentum Fitness and Wellness. That's an ad or sponsor
Okay.
that we've got that's going to run during the
Okay.
entire course of this video. The middle section is
Wow.
me, ranting
Yeah.
about, the Constitution or something, a segment from the show. And then the bottom part is a station that we're on. Well, the one that I've taken as an example is one where I talk about all of the stations that we're on. So that bottom logo
Okay.
is going to change with me talking about one station to the next. And then the
Sure.
top one is going to stay there for the entire, this is like a 40-second commercial or a 40-second example of what I can now finally do easily. So here it is. Nathan, speaking of Dare Media, Nathan Fleetwood, chief tech dude. Hi, Yergs. We were up late here at Dare Media, and we're playing up the middle in the studio. Enjoy the show tonight. So, yeah, it's night there now. We're their nighttime. Everybody, this is in Australia. Mastiff Media, starting with me.
Mm-hmm.
Up next is Sportcat. And I was doing Mastiff Media Magazine, the news show, but I'm the one that edits that, and it's just too much. So I put one of our other podcasts in. It's the Coyote Small Business Podcast out of Toronto. That's from using our time. That's 3 to 4. And then at 4, Mates Helping Mates comes on. Last couple of days, I've been playing that for 2 hours instead of 1, which means some music's been slipping in.
Whoa.
Oh, what happened? Did that go to the end?
I don't know.
Did that go all the way here?
It looks like you should push. Yeah, it's not quite the end.
It's
No,
1,
push play.
which means some music's been slipping
There
in.
we go.
Oh, that's the wrong one. Damn it. That's just Dare Media. Okay. Here we go. This is it. Take 2. On
Take
Radio
2.
X and Radio Live out of Australia, WZQR Talks, the 7th out of 7 different genres that they've got at WZQR. Oh, stop it. Hold on. I'm not sharing.
Not that
No,
one?
it is that one, except I'm not sharing the screen. I'm sharing. No, I need a
Okay.
producer. I think that's the other notice I need you to put out to the world for me. All right. Trying again. Take 3.
Take 3.
On Radio X and Radio Live out of Australia, WZQR Talks, the 7th out of 7 different genres that they've got at WZQR. Go to WZQR FM, scroll all the way down, click on WZQR Talks. You'll find us there all 10 hours a week. Plus, they actually play us on the weekend too. DNR Studios, go to dnrstudios.com and the DNR Cast app. We're back on the Biz Growth Collective. Go to bizgrowthcollective.com. Click on the events tab and the 24/7 room. That's where you'll find us. KSHP in Vegas, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday for the first hour only. They're the last station to get that. Everybody else gets all 10 or nothing. Newly launched this past weekend, Right Talk Radio for conservatives in their right mind. Go to righttalk.radio to be able to listen there. Rainbow Radio, LGBT
There you
community.
go.
There you can go to rainbowradio.gay. And Yerg's Radio go to yergs.radio. Also, you can still use yergsradio.com, but yergs.radio, shorter, sweeter. Our name is our address. Finally, for video, you can go to any of our social media platforms and yergs.com. Click on the live broadcast, let it load, and we'll be right there. This is Up the Middle, politics for the rest of us. I'm Yergs, a voice that sounds like yours. Why? Because we're thinking the same thing. So there's that, and that's what we're doing there.
That's awesome.
Showing all the different transitions.
That's really great.
So,
that's really great. Congratulations. Listen, we're at the end of our hour.
Yep.
And so I just want to thank our listeners for tuning in today, especially Ken, who gives us some commentary from time to time. And we enjoy knowing that somebody's out there and we're not yelling into the void. So thank you, Ken, always for your loyalty. Love it.
And he's going to do some voiceovers for us, too.
There you go. And I'll talk to you, I guess, Yergs, next week, and hopefully we'll stay out of the dog fights.
Yes. I hate that too, because I've been in a rough one back in DC. I had my hand all chewed up, and
you feel so helpless.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Okay, well, have a good
You
week.
too.
And I've got to run. So
I'll see you in a week.
I'm Jane
and I'm
Stahl,
Yergs.
And this has been Both Sides Now. Bye now.
We'll see you again next week. Thank you again.
Okay.
You
bet.
Glad Ginger's okay. And everybody else. All right. So back to bitching at the world. Yeah, that was what I've been working on. And I also didn't get the chance to tell her the Mastiff Media minivan is driving around the Tampa Bay area. And it wouldn't make sense to have the web address mastiff.media available if mastiff.media wasn't available. So let me share that with you for some. I've gone back and listened to some episodes. I'm like, you know what? I really got to do better when it comes to the audio only portion. So I'm going to have to be incredibly descriptive here for those that do not have any video, like Yergs Radio, all the radio networks that we just lost. K-Shop in Vegas because they're only on for the first hour. But everybody else that's still with us, what I'm going to show is the website for Mastiff Media that I finally fixed up. It's not awesome, but it's better than that one-page placeholder that those kids did and screwed up on top of it. This is functional, and by the end of the week will be even more functional. So here it is, mastiff.media. That's the homepage, mastiff.media, and the logo come into the corner. And this is it. It's just me, looking pretty psycho. I'm going to change that and do something else later, but I wanted something. And it's also not going to be, the homepage is also not going to be labeled Yergs. I'll add another one later, and I'll do a better picture of me that makes me look not as psycho, but something where I'm talking into the mic, because that's what this is about. Then our stations, Yergs Radio, Rainbow Radio, and Right Talk Radio. We'll start up a blog and news section, and then also contact. Office phone number, Yergs Radio phone number, Rainbow Radio phone number. These logos here are buttons. So you can it actually goes to your phone when you click on the button. Of course, the program number for the button is actually the rest of the phone number. But what you see on your screen is 1-888-88-YERGS for Yergs Radio. And for Rainbow Radio, 844-GAY-LGBT. And then the news, email down at the bottom, news@yergs.com. Our stations, this was the template that was on this page. So I just filled it out. Yergs.radio, you see at the top. Yergs Radio was started to expand the audience for a podcast up the middle. We found that internet radio listeners are quite like podcast listeners, but not the same people. Yergs Radio repurposes podcasts with a positive message into internet radio shows, then encourages and coaches the podcaster to become a live radio broadcaster. Yergs Radio, positive talk in a negative world. Listen to Yergs Radio here. I kind of like that, actually. I might put like the Yergs Radio in the background, the Yergs Radio logo in the background a little later. I'll work with that and see what I do. For Rainbow Radio, it's just a page that has the Rainbow Radio logo. This one's without the unicorn head on it. I wanted to put the .gay so that they can see the rainbowradio.gay as an address, but you see me hover over the logo and you see that it turns into the finger, which means it's a button. You click on it and it opens a new window or a new tab on your browser and takes you to rainbowradio.gay, the actual site where, again, you can listen. And then finally, Right Talk Radio is actually down right now. Even though, here it is here's the page. The page is okay. It's just like this button isn't working right now because I screwed something up with the actual site. So the site is down. And that, there's the connections. It's not working. So I got to go in and fix that. But this was also late. What else? Blog. We'll start a blog. This is a good place to start, like a Substack link or something like along those lines. And just, also news, news for, I think this is going to be more company news. Hey, we launched Right Talk Radio. We're doing this, that, or the other thing. That kind of, and just keep it all as a blog post. So there it is. Mastiff.media, operational. I think the other thing is I can go here. Yeah. As usual, clicking on the logo in the corner brings you to the homepage. So I might, if these are, I might leave that tab Yergs, but not be the homepage. I don't know. We'll see. And I'm learning, it's not the most user-friendly platform. It's Wix, and it's cheap. It's supposedly easy. Bottom line, for me, it was immediate. And that's what I was looking for. We did not take any breaks during my first hour. And that's going to be coming to an end soon, too. If you know of any businesses that you think might be, and it can be local, it can be how Yergs was taken over by the Joker in that photo. What photo was that? I don't know that I saw the Joker. I don't know what you're talking about on that one, Ken. Hit me back. Let me know where I looked goofy. If you know of any business that you can get to advertise on Yergs Radio, tell them we are doing local advertisements ourselves in various areas, Tampa Bay being one of them, Las Vegas being another, Reading and Boyertown being a third, DC, a bunch of where we're doing Spotify, Google, Facebook, all kinds of ads. Instagram is another one. All kinds of ads that we're doing to further the Mastiff Media brand. And right now, we're going to leave it at just Mastiff Media. That's what that site is for. Keeps the politics out of it, but they can learn about it by coming to Mastiff Media. There'll be a tab that's hidden right now, but there'll be a tab for shows that will showcase Be Inspired Podcast, Both Sides Now, Up the Middle, Outrage Overload, all of them that run on Yerg's Radio, Rainbow Radio, and Right Talk Radio. I got to remember my stuff. So, if you know of like a national type of business, like somebody that does consulting, or like my phone company would be perfect for this, that he does from home, but he sells phone service nationally. I'm so bummed that Peter didn't do better with the affiliate program. I got candles one time. And I can't say that I'm burning whatever candle in the studio right now when I'm out of candles. So I had to cut him. He had my address. He knows he was supposed to be sending me shit monthly. I got it once. So, yeah, I wish him the best. He makes great candles. Just to have a great customer service. What else? And also, local businesses. We're actually targeting, local businesses like, I think there's there we go. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. You see it on your screen right now. That's my gym. They'll get spots like this during the show. And I'm going to let you in a little secret. It's not a 60-minute commercial. When I do that live spot, it's for 75 seconds. We tell you it's only a minute and how I ramble, blah, blah, blah. But it's actually scheduled for a minute and 15 seconds. That it's that extra. But also with podcasting and internet radio, particularly, even really, for the most part, but especially independent journalism like this, podcasters, independent internet radio stations, and so on. We actually support and use the sponsors that we have. I burned Aroma by Peter candles until I didn't have any more. I still like the candles. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're shit candles. Don't buy them. Buy them. Just buy them. Don't do any arrangements where you're supposed to be getting some in return for spending thousands of dollars or providing thousands of dollars worth of advertising. And all of my affiliates make bank off of me. I get a gym membership for me and whoever I have as a guest. I don't have any guests. That guest was my son, and he decided not to continue working out. And I'm not going to try to force him. It's his life. He's got to make that decision. And I don't have any guests here to take with me, but I can in the event that, another on-air talent or hot boy, whatever. But I get a membership for a year. Well, when I was having depression, which I'm still battling, and a schedule that didn't allow me to do it, I didn't get there to use the membership. He's still getting plenty of exposure. In fact, I just made it better. I had Right Talk Radio on the top banner of the Yerg's Radio website. And he was on the bottom. Was still getting a 3.7 or 3 point something click-through rate, which is great. Getting people to get interactive on your social media is not easy. And now I moved him up to the top one where Right Talk Radio used to be on the Yerg's Radio site. And he already still got thousands of views. So he's still getting exposure. Now he's going to get even more. And hopefully we'll get that click-through rate up as well and start setting the trends. Others follow. What else? I got plenty of things to still talk about in the remaining 45 minutes that we'll get to. But yeah, so if you have any potential sponsor, I will pay you a finder's fee. Ready? Of 30%. The minimum package that we have right now is $500 for a month, with the other one being $1,500 for a month. So 30% of any of those, see, 30 times 5, it's $150 just for bringing us a sponsor. And if it's your business, I'm not going to care. I'll still give you the 30% for that first, for the finder's fee. It's not 30% every month, but still 30% of $5,000 or 30% of $1,500, 30% of $500. What is $1,500? Let me see. Calculator. 1,500 times 0.3, $450. So for your $1,500 package, you get $450 back in your first month. If you are the finder of the business, it's not going to go month to month. And it's going to be a limited time that I'm going to do that. But $450 is $450. I mean, if you have two businesses that you want to do, $900 off of $3,000, $2,100 for $3,000 worth of advertising. That ain't bad. And that package, by the way, is sick. You get that QR code that you see on the screen there, which would be part of live spots for 75 seconds, at least once an hour. And now you know why I got to do better with taking those breaks, because those that are actually paying for it, I got to keep myself to a better schedule. And those spots would be happening 3 times an hour, so every 20 minutes. So yeah, lots of money to be made. So let me do that. Take an actual break. When we come back, we're going to finish with those bills of the Constitution. And then I got some clips to play. It's going to cause us all to do some serious head scratching, if you're not already. This is Up the Middle on the Mastiff Media Network. It's Yerg's. We'll be back right after this. What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum. That momentum. All right. Oh, I need music. You see it up there in the corner. It's been there the whole show today. The Biz Growth Collective. Oh, you know, I need to change that one. There we go. Build a Space. We've been back on the Biz Growth Collective. I figured that out. Whatever technical issues I was having before, wrenched one. Today, we're also back on the social audio app Chatter. And I've got to do better, actually, with being on that one too. Supposedly, an upgraded version is coming. It's going to make my capability that much better, which I'm really excited for, because there's a lot that I want to do with Chatter, with Biz Growth Collective, and so many other platforms that could be doing a lot better. I want to help them do that. Chatter, I really believe in the guys that are doing that. Same thing with Biz Growth Collective. And my timer that I start to do that 75 seconds. Yeah, I forgot to start it. So guess what? Now we've started that 75 seconds. And I've already been talking about Build a Space and the Biz Growth Collective. Build a Space helped me with Yergs.com. Very good IT company. I couldn't put, because of the time constraint, I couldn't put this on them so fast to have it done as immediately, which is why I'm just going to spend the money on Wix until they can do something better. But that doesn't mean that I don't value what they do. It's because I value what they do that I want to give John and everybody at Build a Space the time to do it. Their website, you can access it with that QR code that's on your screen up in the top corner, or go to builda.space. Build, like build your house, builda.space. That's the address. Their name is their address also. I forgot to ask Jane about that. And by the way, that minute and 15 seconds just ended, and we're still talking about our sponsor. Go to builda.space and find out more about Build a Space and learn about their biggest project, the Biz Growth Collective. Scan the QR code on the center of your screen, or go to bizgrowthcollective.com. That's where we're live right now, in one of the 24/7 rooms. I told him that they're working on, and I know we haven't talked in a while because he's been away and sick and all kinds of stuff, but I'm working on getting my own room for the show, or to be up on the stage of the one that they have. I don't know. We'll see. But I definitely want to keep going with both Build a Space and Chatter and bring people together. Okay. We got about 40 minutes left, and we're going to talk more about the Constitution. And hopefully, I don't know. Also, don't forget about the Sea Ranch Civic Association. We'll talk about them before we get out of here today. 1-888-88-YERGS, 844-GAY-LGBT. If you're in any of those apps, Chatter, Biz Growth Collective, raise your hand. I'll bring you up on stage, and you can join the conversation that way instead of calling in or texting. one of the advantages of having that opportunity. If you want an invite to Chatter, hit me up, news, NEWZ at yergz, YERGZ.com. And there's Jane's. Don't forget, what did she do the ad spot for herself? What was she doing the ad for? Ken, why was Jane doing an ad? What did she do? I can't remember that for the life of me now. But there's Jane's address. Here is the other one that we have. Let us know if you want an invite to Chatter. Happy to share that with you. There we go. Somebody actually had a stage request. I hope she's still here. She's welcome to come up, join the conversation. Shout out to Sylvia, also in the audience. Let me know if you'd like to come up and voice your opinions on the Constitution and what's happening in the world, and unfortunately what's not happening. I need to reset another clock here too. There we go. Oh, that's right. The new show that's in Studio B for the Bear Fever artists. Yeah, that's such a cool concept. I'm glad they did that. Oh, the photo where I look like the Psycho? Is that I look like the Joker on that one? I was taken over by the Joker. I was always a Riddler kind of guy. All right, so Constitution stuff. I'm going to bring out, there's my, there we go. So the Sixth Amendment, speedy trial, witnesses, and counsel. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right, the accused, it doesn't say the citizen accused, just says the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial. Public meaning that when you are found not guilty, the community knows about it. Oh, he's not a bad guy. Oh, he's not a member of MS-13. Oh, he is a member of MS-13. Neither of those examples, by the way, are illegal. Speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation. You have to be told why you're on trial. This is not happening for those lucky enough to get a trial. To be confronted with witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. You have the right to an attorney. It's not part of the Fifth Amendment. It's the Sixth Amendment. Eighth. But why are these not in numerical order? Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted. You know, like being moved out of the country or even across the country to be held. And it's not even close. And finally, the 14th Amendment. So the 14th Amendment has 5 sections. One is the biggest one that we're dealing with. The others are with like being a senator or a congressman. There, you do actually have to be a citizen. But doesn't say that for due process. Section 1 of the 14th Amendment. All persons born or naturalized in the United States. Wait a minute. Didn't you just say you don't have to be a citizen? Yes, I did. Don't make the same mistake that Trumpers make. Read the entire section. And then also, by the way, consider the 4 amendments 4, 5, and 6, and 8 that we already talked about. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person, nor shall any state deprive any person, deprive any person, not any citizen, not any born or naturalized person, any person. Deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. You can't execute them without due process. You can't take them into custody and deprive them of liberty or seize their property without due process, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So for those of you that thought it was a citizen because you read all persons born or naturalized and stopped there, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction. If you're in Florida, you get equal protection, Ron DeSantis. Or whoever that sheriff was up in Maryland that said he's 1,000% member of MS-13. Yeah, well, when you come up with something that's actually illegal, let us know. Thanks, douchebag. Nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So now what? Now we at least have an idea what the Constitution says. Whose job is it to do anything about it? It's ours. The president, Congress, judges, federal agents, all of us who did this thing that used to mean something. Back in the day, when you swore an oath to whatever, I swear on my life, I'm going to kick your ass. You better be kicking somebody's ass because you just swore on your life that if you don't do that, your life is going to end. That's a big deal. And now they're apparently just words. When the president who takes that oath doesn't even put his hand on the Bible. Like, how are you calling yourself a Christian? Even though we have separation of church and state, don't get me started. If this is such a Christian nation, how are you not vividly pissed off that your president was held a Bible by his first prostitute and he didn't want to touch it, much the way she doesn't want to touch him? And he didn't. He took that oath for what it's worth. And now he says he doesn't know anything about it? Or whatever his bullshit story is this week? Oh, wow. This is sad. But in case you haven't seen it already, on the screen is the oath of office. An individual, except the president, elected or appointed to an office of honor or profit in the civil service. In other words, or profit, meaning you're being paid to be there, like a federal agent. In the civil service or uniformed services, shall take the following oath. I, first name, last name, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Seems as though that part gets forgotten about too. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation. It's not something we can do on Wednesdays, but not the weekend. 24/7, 365. That I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. To include specifically, but not exclusively, when Donald Trump just shrugs it off and goes, they're brown people, who cares? And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I'm about to enter, such as the office of being a special agent. So help me God. This section does not affect other oaths required by law. This just means for the job you've got. And for some, should no longer have. There it is. I'm floored by the people who've been ignoring that. You do not take somebody into custody without a warrant or probable cause. Just having a green card is not probable cause. In fact, it's reason to not take that person into custody. Because the green card, by definition, says they're here legally. They're allowed to be here. They have a purpose in this country. Are you hearing any of this, Laura Ingraham? This is what the people mandated 250 plus years ago, way before anybody thought of your sorry ass. So you can be as conservative all you want. Be as conservative all you want. But then, for God's sake, be a conservative and hold the Constitution. Oh, but you know what? When Trump comes calling for her freedom of press, then her pussy's going to hurt. Then, God forbid, that's wrong. But not while black and brown people are being screwed over. That's a mandate. That's our favorite buzzword this week. Mandate. Mandate. That's just where I find another dick or ass. Dating site joke. Mandate. Hello? Mandate.com. I should go to them and see if they would be a sponsor. Oh, how funny would that be? I got to put them in the tab or something. Just is that still a site? Oh no! Okay, let's. Mandate.com is not a thing. I'm brokenhearted. Oop. Oh. And I'm not sharing the screen because I don't know what's going to pop up. So it has, what is the mandate? And it's two words, like the mandate. A mandate is one word. You can call it a compound word, fine. Mandate, according to the Wikipedia dictionary, in two words, is a platonic outing by two typically straight men, often in the settings that would otherwise be reserved for romantic. And it cuts off, it goes to that. I need a nap. How is that not a website? Come on. How is this not a gay dating site? Mandate website. Mandate media. We are activists and storytellers of digital tools to change the world. Mandate wire. Come on. There has got to be a mandate. Separate it again. I made it a compound word. Does it every time. eHarmony. Boo. Okay, Cupid. Tinder. Gentleman's Journal. Oh. Best dating sites for professional modern men. Cougar Life. Oy. How to find denim date in person without dating apps. Meet singles flirting on the leading uniform dating site. Uniform dating? That's for like cops? Oh, Jesus. Where can I find a man online, preferably American? Really? You're actually going to put that out there? Oh, well, excuse me. Has anyone experienced the website? Oh, what is this? It's dreadful. What is it? Dreadful. Oh, date my age. I'm on that. I haven't been active, but this is a good idea. I have a suggestion for anyone on these sites. Request a video chat immediately upon communicating with the individual. If they refuse, just move on to the next opportunity. 100%. I was talking to a guy on Facebook that I knew early on was not the guy, because there's this thing that's available to the world now. It's called a Google image search. And when you Google dudes' profile photos, and it comes back to a person not with the name in the profile you're at, and you bait the person for the next 2 weeks, we'll say, asking things about their lives and having them tell you stories, this, that, and the other thing. And then you confront them with the truth. Watch them try to turn you into the bad guy. Yeah, I remember that now. Thank you. Ken saying she did a commercial for Studio B. Studio B will do the same thing. I don't know if she knows I do that. Ken says Dr. Rashad Ritchie would say on Indisputable, it's the show me your papers as to how they treat a green card. So you still, it is part of your ID. And I have to show my ID if a police officer asks for it. That is a lawful request if they have reason to stop me. Now, they can't just knock on my door and say, show me your driver's license or your passport or your birth certificate. That's not legal. That is unreasonable. However, if they have something called a checkpoint, such as at a border or a DUI checkpoint, that is, you're driving through this, everybody gets inspected. That is called a checkpoint. That is called an inspection. That is a legal warrantless search. Again, Ken's rolling his eyes, looking at Jurgs about sharing the screen on Mandate. Mandate used to be a magazine, Ken says. I knew I saw it. And I think that's probably what I saw. I just got 4 Cult Studio calendars, by the way. I'm reminded I need to scan them and send them to Katie from Dare Media. She wants them. I think Nathan wants them too. I got to be honest. And then Ken looks away. No, oh, you're not. You're peeking. Oh, sorry about that. All right. So we talked about the oaths. Here's one of the things I put together. Just my thoughts. If you are anybody, literally I mean that, if anybody, discuss this with your family. If you're black, if you're brown, if you're gay, if you're outspoken for any reason, with any method, against this administration, My recommendation is that you have a plan. One, regularly check in with friends and family. And I say both to leave you the option for whom you should check in with. What I mean by that is, I'm here in Florida. I would certainly regularly check in with family, but in the event that something happens, there's nothing they can do about it. They don't live here in Florida, too. So it would be some extra hoops for them to jump through to be able to come to my aid. But then again, they should know. They would be much more likely to spend larger amounts of money on bail, on legal fees, to some way to help me if I were to be persecuted, in this case, again, by the Trump administration. So if they don't know that something's happened, they don't know to get that ball rolling. So regularly and on a schedule, check in with family and friends. Friends here, for me, somebody that I can trust, like perhaps Superfan Ken, that I've not been taken into custody for exercising my First Amendment rights. Secondly, talk with a lawyer now. I have an attorney that I've spoken with who is a member of the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, who is familiar with constitutional law, namely the First Amendment. I don't have an immigration attorney. I'm already a citizen. For 53 plus years, I've been a citizen. Yeah, you know what? I'm just going to say it. I'm also white. My citizenship will be doubted a lot less than some of the black or brown people that I know. I know of at least 4 households within a block of where I live right now, all of whom are Cuban, all of whom are or have in their family illegal aliens. Are they ready to deal with the Trump administration, for whom they voted, by the way? All because their culture prohibits them from voting for a woman. Yeah. Talk with a lawyer. If you're black or brown, likely an immigration attorney. But also, if that's an issue, but also a civil rights attorney. And if you think it's going to be necessary, a criminal defense attorney. We are hitting that time. We got about 8 minutes left. I want to go down through the plugs for today. Jane Stahl can be reached, Jane E. Stahl, Stahl, at Comcast.net. I forgot what why they were reaching out to her, though. I know she's plugging the show that's at the studio right now, but I forget why we were reaching out to her. Anyway, Facebook.com, go to righttalk.radio, DOT radio. Follow and like that page. It's our new page for Right Talk Radio. Yergs.com and Yergs.radio. Bookmark these. we're probably going to systematically be eliminating some of the social media pages that we stream to because I'm tired of being censored by all of them. TikTok, 2 videos that I uploaded over the weekend got taken down within minutes because of some bullshit about branding violations. Facebook is taking videos down again. I'm done. I don't need this. You can come to yergs.com and yergs.radio and get this uncensored, unfiltered, honest, cited, researched, just like today's civics lesson was. Our meetup group is the Radio Roundtable. I'm gonna edit that. I mean, that link that you see there is the group, and I want to have a meeting sometime this month again. But internet terrestrial radio group, or just Radio Roundtable and Yergs, you'll be fine. If you're somewhere where you can't tell your government that you listen to the show, write me at my hotel address, yergs@shayergs.com. Let me know from where you need a vacation. That's how I will know to send you news about that location. Go to mysrca.com. You see the QR code at the top corner of your screen. It's for the Sea Ranch Civic Association in Pasco, Florida. If you're anywhere along the Nature Coast or northern Tampa Bay region, great organization to be part of. Go to mysrca.com. The Capital Switchboard is 202-224-3121. Call them and ask for your state senators and your congressman or woman and tell them, Doge gotta goge. DNR Studios, they are out this week or next week or part of this week and in the next, something like that. That's when my studio, or my studio interview, my recorded interview that Derek and Romaine did of me a couple weeks ago is going to air, celebrating our addition to the DNR Studios lineup. Go to dnrstudios.com and download the DNR Cast app. StudioBBB.org is the studio that Jane was talking about. Studio B, Art Studio in Boyertown. Go to StudioBBB.org to learn more. She's also the co-editor of the Boyertown Area Expression. It's our local digital newspaper. Go to BoyertownAreaExpression.town.news and check out Boyertown. Matt will be back, I think. I don't know. He's traveling, so that's going to be up in the air. That's right. Daily Crypto News. He does that every day as part of Mastiff Media Magazine. You can reach him by writing out to matt@dailycryptonews.net or info@demonforcongress.com. You can get us all news, NEWZ, at yergs.com. And for more information and show notes and so on, go to yergs.com and mastiff.media. Sportcats Daily Gazette is up next. You can stay right here to Radio X, Radio Live, Right Talk Radio. What else? Yergs Radio and Rainbow Radio. Or if you want video, go to YouTube and search at Para or Normal Guys. And he'll be there. He is here, actually, backstage. Let's see what's happening there today.
What's going on, my friend?
What's happening?
Oh, same stuff, different day. I figured I'd tune in a little early to see what you were whining about. So,
yeah, you actually caught me towards the end, but I saw some more. Not only did Mango Mussolini get on Dateline and say that he doesn't uphold or withstand whatever it was due process. I got to see that whole interview so I can talk about it better tomorrow.
And who is Mango Mussolini?
Trump.
Oh, I forgot. That's right. You like to name call. Got it.
Yes. For him, yeah, especially. I think I'm done being nice. I've tried it again. I was 8 years ago. Didn't work. I've been trying it again now. That lasts all about 45 seconds before I want to smack somebody.
Well, you're not going to end up being one of these violent ones that wants to go out and kill all Republicans, are you?
No, because that's what we were talking about today. is due process and the Constitution. And I actually read the five amendments that guarantee due process, 4, 5, and 6, 8, and 14.
Cool.
And I like being able to work on my jet skis later this afternoon. Yeah, I like the doctor appointment I'm going to have virtually in another hour and 20 minutes. And the consultant I'm working with in 2 hours from now. I don't want to deal with any of those people from jail.
Sounds like
so
fun.
It's inspiration enough for me to be a good boy.
Well, there's a lot of them that aren't. So
yeah, I know. No argument there. Right and left.
I think those people are morons. So
yeah.
Anybody that wants to go out and kill somebody because they don't believe the way you are apparently doesn't understand how our country works. So
yeah, exactly. And the same thing with arresting people just because they're different from you. The stories I'm reading from court documents are disgusting. But anyway,
I don't know. I can't say. I'm sure I'll have something in my news that'll piss you off. So
I'm not going to be able to listen today because of that schedule I just gave you. Actually, the first hour I should be able to.
All right. I don't know. That's probably not too bad. So yeah, we got some news. Lady Gaga, they thwarted a bombing attack in Brazil on her. Let's see.
I saw that. I didn't know that it was on her. I just saw that Brazilian police.
Well, I guess you should say it was on her, but it was at her concert. They wanted to kill her little monsters.
Yeah. So, well, that's on her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that that she's responsible, but she's the target.
No. Just like Taylor Swift wasn't. She just held the venue and there was people there. So once again, stupid people. So
right.
So we'll talk about that, and then we got a couple other stories. We even got a couple of sports stories about Democrats that are crazy. So it's fun.
Sports stories with Democrats.
Yeah.
Do they even play sports?
Well, I don't know. It's hard for them to get out of their way as retarded as they are, but sometimes they do. So, and I called this before. If you recall, Fetterman. I'm telling you, he's going to flip. He's going to flip.
Yeah. I saw that. There's a staffer, a former staffer, that's saying he's going a little apeshit.
Yep. Doesn't agree with you. Suddenly he's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I never thought he was all that there when he supposedly agreed with the Democratic Party.
I will not argue that point either, but I think it's funny how suddenly they're like, oh no, he's crazy. So, but I called this. Just remember, I called this months ago. He is going to flip.
Yeah. Well, he already has in the name of
in spirit,
keeping an open mind and that whole thing, and which is fine. I think every member of Congress should do that.
Agreed. So,
but
rather than telling them to F off like some other ones, reporters to F off when they ask questions. Yeah, that didn't seem like a very nice thing to do. So,
yeah.
But okay, well, I got a show to run, and we're gonna have fun today.
Other stuff to do too.
And then there's lots of weather. You're gonna get some rain today. Not only will you be hot,
we had something over the weekend that was some serious stuff.
Yeah. It's supposed to the next 2 days be a soaker in the south, so you'll get part of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna kill the radio feed right now. There it goes.
Right. Let me push this button. Daddy, oh no, not yet. Daddy is now in control of Jurg's radio.
I just threw up in my mouth.
That's good. That's good. I love it. All right, my friend, I got to get out of here. I got a show to give. I got chat people over there. Everybody come over, join the chat. We're going to have some fun. Para are normal guys. Para are normal. 3 words, guys with a Z. Come over and harass me on my channel. We'll have some fun. Continue to listen here on Jurg's Radio, Right Talk Radio, and Rainbow Radio if you want us to tickle your ears. But if you want to see why Mama says I got a face for radio and why I'm hiding in an attic, come join me on the YouTube channel. Ross, have a great day.
Also Radio X and Radio Live.
Did I not say them? I apologize. Radio X and Radio Live.
Yep. There we go.
All right. All right, everybody, come on over, Ken. Come on, everybody, over and join us in YouTube. We'll have a good time. We'll make fun of Ross and have a good day.
And I'll be there for the first hour to bitch about it.
We'll see if we can make that vessel twitch before the doctor's appointment. So,
yeah.
All right, my friend, have a great day. I hope your doctor's appointment goes well. I will talk to you tomorrow.
All right, have a good show. And we are done here also. So go over to YouTube and hit the Paranormal Guys, or as we said, anything on the Mastiff Media, any of the stations owned by the Mastiff Media or Dare Media networks. That would be Yerg's Radio, Right Talk Radio, and Rainbow Radio, or Radio X and Radio Live. Or, like I said, you can go to YouTube and check out Paranormal Guys. He'll be there as well. That's it. I am done for today. There we go. Good audience. Checking in on video through a bunch of different platforms. That's it for me. I got a call in an hour and 20 and another one in 2 hours. So I got a plan for that and also feed my kids. All right. And feed myself. Feed yourselves. Thanks for getting off the porch. Run with the big dogs. This is Up the Middle. I'll see you tomorrow.